My husband started abusing me because I wanted to breastfeed my baby. Disclaimer, this is not my story time Estertaniaj on Instagram. Don't know what the psychology behind this is. Some men are good until they don't need to be. In my case, my nightmare started after we had our first baby. We were already married for 3 years. Boyfriend and girlfriend, the relationship was fun and loving. When we got engaged, it became even more intense, and he began showing his love in different ways. And after we got married, it was just amazing. We had a really great relationship. Went into couples counseling, worked out our issues, and we just loved being with each other all the time. Then I got pregnant. At first, he was really happy. After the baby came, he began to reproach me for not being available to him all the time. He started saying things like, "My gosh, you're not fun anymore. You don't want to go anywhere anymore. Don't wear the clothes that you used to wear." And I said, duh, I'm taking care of our baby. He started distancing himself from our newborn baby. Why? Because when I started breastfeeding, he said he was uncomfortable with the idea of our baby boy latching onto me, that no other person should be touching me like that. I practically vomited in my mouth when he said this to me. It gets so much worse. Part 2 is up. My husband began abusing me after we had our baby because I wanted to breastfeed him. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. After he told me that he wasn't comfortable with our son latching onto me, that no other person should be touching me like that, we got into a massive fight. That was the first time he ever pushed me. It was an actual shock. First off, I had never seen this side to him. He was always jealous, but not controlling and possessive. Much less did he ever put hands on me. When he threw me down, I ended up bumping my shoulder so badly, I couldn't lift my arm for 2 weeks. Because I refused to not breastfeed the baby, anytime he would walk in and I was breastfeeding the baby, he would start a fight, cursing at me, yelling at me. Third time he did this, put the baby in his room, and then I decided to have it out with him. I told him that I thought he was being a child. That's when he slapped me for the first time. As soon as he did though, he was so apologetic, he started crying, and he even threw himself on the floor. Part of me almost felt bad for him until he said, "I hope you don't do this again." When I got one of those hidden cameras in a bear, and I recorded the next 2 fights. He pushed me against a wall, pulled my hair, and all of this while I was holding our newborn. You're never gonna guess what he did when he found out. Part 3 is up. After my husband pushed me and pulled my hair while I was holding our newborn, I captured it all on camera. Camera he didn't know I hid. Now mind you, before this, I had already told my family what was happening, and when I told his parents, they flat out refused to believe me. Said their son would never touch me like that he loved our son, which was totally not true. He was jealous and envious of our little baby. So I sent the footage straight to his parents, and I went to their house, showed them on my computer, and they could no longer deny that their son was abusing me and their grandchild. My father-in-law got so angry, called my husband over to their house, and they helped me confront him. And my father-in-law punched him the minute he came in through the door. Mother-in-law started grabbing at his shirt and ripped it off, and they told him that he was no longer in their will. All of this happened in a matter of seconds, but my husband was so angry at me, he tried to attack me. They ended up having to call the cops. My father-in-law held him down on the floor. Thank God for them. They made him move out of the house we were living in. Now he's living back home with them. Moved my parents into our home. They're helping me raise my baby. He has 0 contact with us, and I'm getting full custody. He sends me threatening messages every day. Parents think we should move. Is that a bit? My husband accidentally butt dialed me when he was hooking up with my stepmom. Disclaimer, this is not my story time instead of me on Instagram. My stepmom has been married to my dad for 10 years, and I thought of her as a second mom. She's comforting, she cooks me the best meals, and she dotes over me. She also has a great relationship with my mom. I've been married to my husband now for 2 years. When my stepmom and my dad met my now husband, they thought he was great. In fact, they pushed me to say yes to marrying him because I wasn't sure. Why wasn't I sure? Because every time he drinks, he blacks out, and then he does not remember anything. This was a huge problem, and because we were having problems, he decided to cut back on alcohol. Now, my dad and my husband and my stepmom all love sports, so my husband went over to their place to watch a game. About 2 hours later, I get a butt dial from my husband, and all I can hear is him and my stepmom moaning. And I know it was her because he kept calling out her name. Part 2 is that my husband accidentally butt dialed me when he was hooking up with my stepmom. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Send me on Instagram. Hear them both moaning over the phone. And the only reason I know he's with my stepmom is because he keeps calling her name out. Oh my God. And the things that I heard, I refuse to repeat them. It's about a 20-minute drive to my dad's house. That's how long the butt dial lasted. I walked straight into the house, and I had to search the entire house to find them. Finally, I opened the door to the backyard, and they are doing it on the grass next to the house. As soon as she sees me, she tells him to jump off. And that's when I show them my phone and the 24-minute long butt dial. Now, the creepiest part of this whole thing, my husband was barely able to stand up. He was incoherent. He couldn't even string a sentence together. But my stepmom? Oh, she was totally sober, by the way. I bet you cannot even guess what I'm about to say in part 3. It's already up. You gotta go watch it. My husband accidentally butt dialed me when he was hooking up with my stepmom. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Send me on Instagram. When I realized that my husband is actually blacked out drunk, that my stepmom was actually completely sober, I pulled him up from the floor and put his pants back on. And that's when she told me that he forced himself on top of her. Oh, but guess what I did? I have access to my dad's cameras. In those videos, you can see that for the first 2 hours, she kept feeding him alcohol until he was slurring his words and unable to walk. Then she took him to the backyard. My dad comes home and kicks her out. He already filed for divorce. And my husband went to the police and filed filed a report for SA. Oh, and the best part, my parents started dating again. And I also moved back in with my dad. My husband is begging for forgiveness. Aside from what happened with my stepmom, the alcohol problem will always be present. Now, should I forgive him or should I just get a divorce and try to forgive him anyway? What is my life? I caught my dad cheating with my best friend and he doesn't want me to tell my mom. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's me on Instagram. My dad and I have never gotten along. He's the type of dad that whenever I bring my friends over, he's literally always flirting with them. He'll make sure to be home when he knows my friends are coming. He's really into bodybuilding, so he's pretty fit. So he'll just walk out shirtless into the kitchen while my friends and I are having lunch. I'm constantly telling him to cover up because it's totally embarrassing. 2 weeks ago, I noticed something weird. My best friend was drinking a Starbucks in the kitchen, and when I came into the kitchen, I saw her and my dad quickly let go of their hands. Like they were holding hands. Of course, they played it off and I didn't say anything. Our backyard has a pool house and that's usually where my dad hangs out. By the way, my mom is an amazing woman. She owns a Pilates studio and basically pays for everything. Go to the pool house and that's when I find my dad going down on my best friend. His head was up underneath her skirt. I literally vomited as soon as I saw it. Part 2, that's when I see my dad's head underneath my friend's skirt because he was going down on her. I actually vomited right then and there. As I'm vomiting outside of the pool house, my dad runs over to me and says, "What you saw is a mistake." And I say, "Of course it was a mistake because you're gonna go rectify this right now." I handed him my cell phone so that he could call my mom. He grabbed my cell phone and threw it into the pool. Then my best friend comes out like nothing happened. He looks at me and says, "Will you please just stop overreacting? It's not that big a deal." I grabbed her by her hair and threw her down on the floor. And then I just started attacking her. So angry at my dad, I was even angrier with her. How could she? My dad pulls me off of her and she starts confessing to everything. Apparently, they've been doing it for a month. Whenever she comes to hang out with me, she'll stay in the pool house, hide in there for hours, and wait for my dad to come home. He was never my best friend. By the way, my best friend and I are both 22. My dad is 47. Here's the worst part. He swore me to secrecy and I agreed. Now they just make out in front of me. Part 3 is up. My dad will just start making out with my best friend in front of me. At this point, he doesn't care. Disclaimer is not my story time, send me on Instagram. My mom has had a hard time. This would tear my mom apart. I told my dad that if he doesn't stop this, I'm gonna have to move out of the house. This really woke him up though. He told my best friend that he couldn't keep seeing her. And now she's going crazy. She won't stop calling his cell phone or mine. She'll just show up to our house. Then I caught them doing it again. Of course, I threatened to move out again. Don't know how to handle this situation. What should I do? My husband signed up for my sister's OnlyFriends. Should I divorce him? Disclaimer, not my story time, instead of me on Instagram. My husband and I have a really toxic relationship. When he and I first started dating, I was extremely jealous. I would instigate fights almost every single day. Now that we're married, I'm definitely less jealous. But he's always been jealous throughout our relationship. He tries to control everything I do, down to the way I dress and even the people I can or cannot hang out with. He even insisted that I quit my job, which I did. He's invested a lot in Tesla and crypto, so he makes a lot of money without having to leave the house. Which, yes, is totally amazing. But that means he and I are together all the time. And with his jealousy, sometimes I just can't stand him. I've tried to help him with his jealousy because I used to be in that place. And when I try to talk to him about it, he just gets mad at me. Whenever he sees that I post something on Instagram, he gets angry. He says that I'm looking for attention, which of course I am, but not from guys. Everyone posts on social media because they want to show off their life. A little on my sister. We're identical twins. And we're really, really close. Unfortunately, my sister got laid off from her job last year. That's when she decided to start her OnlyFriends. I support her in everything she wants to do. She's actually making really good money from it, so she's really happy about it. A few days ago, I got on my husband's phone to look for something. When I see my sister's pictures, part 2 is up. My husband signed up for my sister's OnlyFriends. Should I divorce him? Disclaimers are not my story time, send me on Instagram. A few days ago, I got on my husband's phone to transfer some money from his account to mine. When I started looking for his banking app, I noticed something else on his screen. I had never seen this before, so I clicked on it. And as soon as I opened it, I see my sister's pictures. And I knew it was her OnlyFriends right away. By the way, I had never told my husband that my sister had an OnlyFriends. She wouldn't even post about it on her social media. So the fact that he found it makes me believe that he had my phone bugged or something. But here's the thing. He was using a different name for his account, so it was likely that my sister did not know it was him. From there, I could see that he was following a bunch of other girls. And when I went to their messages, he had paid over hundreds of dollars every single day to all of these girls. Can you imagine how much money that is? My husband came into the room and saw me on his phone. Of course, he didn't freak out because he never thought that I would find it. But I confronted him right away. But he didn't even flinch. He said he had every right to go on OnlyFans because it was the same thing as going to any website. I told him to at least unfollow my sister and he said that he wouldn't. He said he loved it because it was like watching me do naughty things. Then he said, "Isn't this better than cheating on you?" I was flabbergasted. Part 3 is up. My husband signed up for my sister's OnlyFriends. Should I divorce him? Disclaimers are not my story time. It's not me on Instagram. That's when he told me that it was better than him cheating on me. And I was shocked. I couldn't think of anything else to say, so I threatened him. I told him that if he didn't stop following my sister, that I would start my own OnlyFriends account. Like I said, he's really jealous. So he went berserk. He ripped my phone out of my hand and threw it against the wall. Then he told me that the only reason he asked me to quit my job was so that I wouldn't be around other men. By the way, I used to be a personal trainer, and most of the time I would only train women. I told him that my sister and I wouldn't be comfortable with him looking at our OnlyFriends. It was so disturbing. Oh, and I also told him that he needed to stop controlling me, and that I could buy my own phone with my own money and start my own account. Then he came to his senses and started to apologize. And I also told him that I was suspecting that he bugged my phone and that he was receiving my messages because there was no other way he could have found out about my sister's account. Then he calmed down and explained things to me. He said that he had bugged my phone a few months ago because I was posting too much on Instagram and it was bothering him. So basically, he has access to my DMs and all my text messages. Promised to stop doing that and that he would buy me a new phone. And that's how he found out about my sister's OnlyFriends. He said he only signed up out of curiosity and that he only wanted to see a few pictures and then delete it. But the more he kept looking at her pictures, the more he would think of me and that it turned him on. And in front of me, he deactivated his account and deleted everything. He promised me that he would never do that again. Of course, I haven't forgiven him though. Haven't even spoken to him in days. But every time he sees me, he tries to kiss me and hug me. And when I push him away, he tries even harder. Honestly, I think he likes it. I do believe that he's secretly addicted to drama and that he thrives on it. I'm planning on never telling my sister about it. I don't think she'd feel comfortable around him ever again. I mean, I don't feel comfortable around him right now. I'm so confused and I don't know if I should leave him or not. He's so My new boyfriend's daughter kicked me out of their house because she said he'd ruin my life. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. God, I wish I had listened to her. Exactly 1 year ago, I met my now boyfriend, soon to be ex. He's a pilot, owns property, he also sells real estate. I was convinced this man was perfect. When we met, he told me that he had a 15-year-old daughter, that their relationship was perfect, that the divorce he had with her mom was amicable, they got along, that there was no bad blood between them. I asked him point blank if there was going to be any problems with his daughter and his ex with me. He said no. But when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I said yes. When I tell you everything was good for 6 months, it was more than good. It was perfect. He was the perfect man in every single way possible. He would take me and his daughter out for lunch, and it was all good. He did have a good relationship. And I even met his ex, who was the nicest and best mother I had ever met. And you're probably wondering, when did things go bad? He asked me to move into his beautiful house, which meant that I would spend a lot more time with his daughter, and she would spend a couple of weeks out of every month with him. And that's when I started noticing she was scared of him. She would flinch whenever he would come near her. And then the unthinkable happened. Part 2 is that's when I realized my boyfriend's daughter was terrified of him. Now that I was living with them, her and I would have really nice conversations anytime we were together in the kitchen. Anytime he would walk into the room or come home, she would get really quiet. If he would close a door, she would flinch. This kept happening. Remember I said he's a pilot? Sometimes he would go away for 2 to 3 days. The next time we were alone, I asked her what was going on. And that's when she told me that I needed to leave. Now he would ruin my life if I stayed any longer. Then she started to cry. What she said was so unexpected and so scary. I just hugged her, waited for her to calm down, and then I asked her to tell me why she said that. She told me that he controlled her entire life. That he wouldn't let her do anything. That she couldn't have friends, couldn't go out anywhere by herself. That he would eventually start to do the same thing to me because he did the same thing to her mom. I asked my boyfriend why he broke up with his ex. He told me that they just grew apart. This is when she told me that he would keep tabs on her, follow her, made her quit her job, which by the way, she was a doctor. Also that he could make sure that she was always home with their daughter. And that the only reason the divorce was amicable was because she didn't want to have to fight him in court. Part 3 is up. My boyfriend's daughter kicked me out of their house because she said that he would ruin my life. Claim this is not my story time. It sent me on Instagram. After telling me how controlling and abusive he had been to her and her mom, he told me that I needed to leave right now because he was waiting to ask me to marry him, that once we were married, he would start to control my life like he did theirs. She then said that she could see that I wasn't believing her, so she pulls out her phone and calls her mom. She starts saying the same things, that at one point she even had to get a restraining order against him, that the only reason she lets her daughter spend so much time with him is because she's afraid that he might want custody. My relationship with him was so perfect. Just couldn't believe them. And guess what? I'm glad I didn't. I did end up leaving the house. When my boyfriend came back from his work trip, he told me that they had done this to every other girlfriend he tried to have. That it was all a lie. Girl, I almost believed them. All this drama made me feel so bad. I actually broke up with him. He gave me space for a month, but now he wants me to get back with him. I don't want to deal with his daughter and his ex. What should I? Story time about how I found out my husband was hooking up with men off of Craigslist. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It's sending me on Instagram. My husband and I have been married for 5 years. This man is the most prudish person I have ever met in my entire life. He never curses. He does not drink. Basically, he's never done anything naughty in his life. When we met, he was the perfect candidate for me. My parents are very religious and very strict. When they saw the way my husband was, basically super uptight, never wanting to do anything fun, they insisted that I marry him. So basically, this is all my parents' fault. To be honest with you guys, I never really was super attracted to him, but I knew that he would be a good provider. He's pretty high up in the company he works for, and he makes north of $300,000 per year. But I do own 2 of my own businesses, so it's not like I need him to survive. But my parents insisted on me marrying somebody who was already well off. And of course, one of my dreams is to become a mother, so I need a man who's going to be able to provide for me and my kids, especially when I'm pregnant. So we ended up getting married. Was there passion and chemistry? Not so much. But we did have a good time, and he would make me laugh. We essentially became really good friends. Up until I found some stuff on his laptop. Part two of how I found out my husband was hooking up with men off of Craigslist. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's me on Instagram. One day while I was working from home, I needed to get on his laptop to check our cameras. I just gotten a new set of security cameras for our house. I needed to make sure that they were all working. I opened his laptop, typed in the password, and it was wrong. It always had the same password for the past 5 years. I didn't bother texting him, instead I tried to guess. And because I know this man so well, I guessed it in the first try. But as soon as I log in, there's about 5 Craigslist windows open, all with similar titles. Male looking for male. Male interested in male company. This literally shook me to my core. You're telling me that I'm married to a gay man and that he's hooking up with men off of Craigslist? That's when I went ahead and checked his email, only to find that he had been sending pictures and other things to these men. Not only that, but he had met with 2 of them. I instantly printed out all the evidence. Like I said in part 1, I'm not particularly attracted to my husband. I never have been. I really only married him because my parents pressured me into it. Here's what I did. Instead of just asking for a divorce, I wanted to humiliate him. I needed to make him pay. After printing everything out, I sent it to his job. And I sent it to his parents and my parents. Part 3 is up. That's when I sent videos of my own husband hooking up with other men to his job, my parents, and his parents. At this point, I had been married to a man that I wasn't attracted to for 5 years, only to find out that he was hooking up with other men off of Craigslist. Remember I said in part 1 how prudish my husband was? He always made himself seem like he was the perfect man, like he had never done anything bad in his life. But let me tell you, some of the things I read in those emails, and the pictures, and the video, disgusting. No wonder he put off having kids for so long, and no wonder he made me get on the pill, because he never had the intention of having kids. When everyone received their packages, my husband called me super upset. He said that he had only done it for about a week, and that it was just him experimenting. Then he told me that his job put him on suspension. My parents, of course, stopped speaking to him. My mother-in-law calls me on the phone and tells me that she had always known that he was gay, and apparently they insisted on him not marrying me. But he was set on having the perfect wife, the perfect life. We're obviously getting a divorce now, and I'm getting all his money, or at least I'm gonna try. He's already claiming that I'm obsessed with him, so he wants to get a restraining order. I need to make him suffer even more. How should I do this? Part 4 will be up soon.